Hello and welcome everyone. How are you guys today? All right, well, I'll kick off. My name is Corey. I'm also known as Strikeadonia. And today we have
Papa Rough,
Papa Ruff. He made it with
otherwise
us.
known as Too Rough for You.
Also can be found as Too Rough for You.
You'll see that a lot during the next 18 weeks.
Yeah, we got a whole lot going on. So it's going to be, we got a big show for you guys tonight. We're here to tell you guys some exciting new news that we are starting a new Wednesday series here on Strikeadonia live on Twitch. It will also be able to be seen later on Thursdays on YouTube or on your favorite podcast sites. But every Wednesday, we will meet here live to kick off Wednesday Night Lights. Do you want to explain what that is?
I will tell you what that is. It's going to be lots of things. So, well, first of all, Corey, I would ask you, you're the one that suggested we do this, and I loved the idea. So I'd want to know from you, what was the original thing that got you to think about doing this with me?
Well, last year we tried doing a sports show. I wanted to do a watch party watching football on Thursdays on Twitch, which quickly led to complications. So we had to reform that idea a little bit, and this is kind of where we landed. Was since we couldn't enjoy the game live, let's try and judge other people and figure out what's going to happen.
Exactly. Okay, good. So for the last month or so, we've been planning this out and building websites and thinking about what we want our Wednesday Night Lights show to be like. So I'd say the first thing is that we want it to be different, right? We don't want it to be some sports talk show because, first of all, I don't know enough about it probably to fill an hour and a half or 2 hours of talk. So we wanted to make something fun. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy how we have this structured. So the first part of this is that we have a fun football pool. So it's a football show. Okay, let's just be honest about that.
Yes.
It's a football show.
At its core, this is definitely going to be a football podcast.
A football podcast, but it's not going to be like a talk show because we're going to have some fun things. So the first part of each show will be what we call the pick'em pool. So it'll be a way to be interactive with you guys, and you will be able to create a team, and we'll match wits each week and see how we did. There's no money involved. It's free. We're going to show you how to join here in just a few minutes. And I think you'll have a lot of the show will be more fun if you join the league. Even if you don't know anything about football, that's fine. Just pick all the home teams if you have to. Anyway, so then the next part of the show will be what we call the dog pile. The dog pile, I don't know what a dog pile is. So in football, when like there's a fumble or something and everybody dives on the ball and there's a whole bunch of guys in a pile, that's called a dog pile. So it's kind of a mishmash of, well, humans in that case. But in our case, it's our topics. And so we'll have different topic each week, and it won't be, oh, did you hear that, Bill Johnson, broke his leg? We might talk about key injuries and stuff, but really we want to talk about topics. And those topics could be anything from what is football? How does it play? What the heck is a first down? I keep hearing first down, or things like that. It could be that you're, a little more knowledgeable about football, and therefore, we'll elevate it. It won't just be 101 stuff all the time. So, for instance, this week's dog pile, I don't want to get into it too much because we hadn't actually started the dog pile. We're going to be talking about things like different types of pools that you might find fun, and what are these betting terms that we hear about. Now, betting's not legal everywhere, but DraftKings and all of those guys are like ubiquitous all around the country now. So if your state allows it, or a country, then great. But otherwise, it's still fun when you're making a bet with a friend to know what a line means. So we'll talk about that. All right, and then we'll wrap up each week's show with kind of a recap of the coming games to make your picks. There's a penalty. There's a sound effect penalty.
Got to drink for penalties.
We'll talk about the penalties in a second. So the last part of the show then will be kind of wrapping up the picks, and then we might do some fun trivia stuff, but most importantly, we'll open up chat to see if you guys have any questions. And probably asking like, what was that one term you were talking about? So I hope you enjoy this. So, like I said, the most important part of this is going to be the pool. So I thought I would go ahead and share my screen, and we will look and show you how exactly to join the pool.
Before we get into joining the pool, I want to talk about what a pool is.
Oh, okay.
So, we're going to talk about the type of pool that we are going to be running this year live on Twitch. The first thing to know is this won't cost you any money to join, and there won't be any money to wager, and there won't be any money to win. This is not a betting. This is more of a mock betting trial to see how things work, and it gives you a chance to interact and play and see how your season goes. Outside of that, we may, for fun on occasions, award prizes to people on certain weeks for winning the pool. If we see a lot of people interacting, we want to make it maybe a little more enjoyable, or maybe spruce up the week and get more people involved. Those are things that may come later, but those are not guaranteed and never will be. Correct. However, with that being said, we should have some fun with this. So we actually got a sponsored pool that we will be using, so everybody will be able to join for free. All it will take is an email address, I believe. I don't know if you'll need your ID, but what I can tell you is today I'm going to sign up myself live and help you guys show you for your accounts, so you can do it today and follow along if you wish, or it will be available later on YouTube and you can follow along then if you have any questions. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wait till the next time we're live.
Well, there is one other way to find out, Corey.
Oh, is there? What would that be?
Yeah, that would be WednesdayNightLights.com.
Oh my! If you have any questions, you can actually just go to our website. From there, you will find pick'em sheets, you'll see directions on how to do it, and you will find a link straight to the website.
And an amazing bio on me, by the way. So
I think it's very clear that my father did my About Me section. I was dying because I was like, look at this photo he used of me. So if you go today, you'll get to see my shame college photo. It's not really shameful, but I definitely look like a child going off to college.
I've been telling her all week to change it.
It's true. It's true. That's my fault. I'm the problem. Wait, that doesn't sound right. That can't be true. So we are actually going to show you guys how to create your own account today. I'm going to lead by example, and hopefully you will sign up too. Just because you create an account and you play 1 week, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to play next week. It's not a big obligation. This isn't going to be something hard. But what we're going to do every Wednesday is we're going to come together. We're going to tell you a little bit about sports each week. We're going to tell you things that maybe we've noticed, games that we've been seeing, things we've been watching, talk about maybe some exciting plays. We're going to give you guys a little bit of information on what that means when people say things, because if you're anything like me and you listen to a bunch of guys talk about sports, light bulb goes off because they're already talking about a whole lot of things. Like, they already know, like, this guy's college story. Who knows what college he went to? That group of guys. I don't know how to talk to them. So we're going to give you a bridge. Hopefully, right? Something you can, like, break them down a little. Like, they don't have to be so up their own butts about sports. Like, we can have a casual, fun conversation about sports. And hopefully we can. So that's our goal. We'll be here for every Wednesday for 18 weeks. So make sure you guys are here live every week. It's where you want to be. Wednesdays, 4 to 6. If you forget, WednesdayLights.com. Who's ready to set up a team?
Okay.
Do we have anybody in chat who's going to set up their team with us? Yeah, this is going to be an NFL pool. So what type of pool we're creating is called a pick'em pool. It's very simple. All you're going to do is the teams that are playing that week. So if there's 16 games played that week, you will just pick the winner. That's it. Who do you think is going to win? That's our whole pool. You don't have to know who's out on injuries. You don't need to know, you don't have to roster, you don't have to change around. You don't even need to have a confidence on who you think will win the most, or the teams you'll be most confident in winning that week.
Correct.
So, hopefully you guys are ready, and we're going to direct your attention to setting up your accounts. Yeah, Zion, we'd love to have you. If you are in chat right now, please follow along. We're actually going to drop the link right now to where we'll be signing up. Actually, maybe I will do my quick demonstration first, and then I'll put the link open, because if I drop the link now, everyone's going to go, and then they're going to come back with questions after I've already moved past that.
It's really pretty easy.
I figured it would be.
You know, if I can do it, it's got to be easy. Okay, so the first place you're going to go to is officepoolstop.com. officepoolstop.com. And you should land on a screen that looks just like this. And what you're going to want to do is you're going
Hang
to
on.
want to
Please hold. Are
join
you
a
sharing now?
I'm sharing.
Okay.
I think I'm sharing.
Well, I'm sharing you now, so they can see.
Wait, you took over my share?
No, I'm just broadcasting your share. So when you go to the website, this is what it will look like.
officepoolstop.com. And then we're going to join a league. All right. We're going to join the league.
There's the site right there in chat.
And, oops, that's me. Our league ID is, and this again is on WednesdayNightLights.com, and Corey can probably throw this into chat, is 56230. And then our password is pretty simple. It's strike 1.
Capital?
Capital S, yes.
And everybody will be using the same login?
Yes.
Hey, nice. What's up? Welcome in. I put the word password in a little late, but you guys can see. And then it'll take you to registration place. Your registration page. Forgive me.
Yes. New player registration. So first and last name, email, username, password, birth date. And if you have a favorite team, go ahead and pick it. Otherwise, you don't have to. Okay? So since we are going to be signing up Corey, I'll come back to this. We're going to find out if email is required.
Nope. Hang on. All right. You can put it in. Just don't say it out loud.
Well, you can see it, though. So.
I took the capture off, so they can't see it.
Okay. So go ahead and put your email in. Oops, it's not.
Hi, Turbo. Welcome. What's up, Turbo? How are you today? We are getting set up for our new football pick'em pool. We are inviting everybody in chat to come join us and encouraging everybody to come sign up and create a free account. This is not gambling. This is just an interactive game, essentially.
Okay. You want to share your my screen again?
Sure. So once you put in that information, this is the next screen you should go to. And that means you're in, right? That's it.
Correct.
So once you
welcome to Wednesday Night Live, and you're good. Now, the one step that I would encourage you to do, and that is go up here to your profile.
Hang on 1 second, they can't see that. Oh, balls. Hang on 1 second. Okay.
All right, profile. And you are going to want to put in a nickname. So when you edit your profile, put in a nickname. Now, why is a nickname important? Well, a nickname is important because that's going to be the name of your team. Okay? So you don't want to be Bill Johnson or Susie Luhu. You want to have a fun and interesting nickname because we just might call out ones we think are really good, and it's just as likely we'll call out ones that are really bad. So, and bad, bad could be good.
Also, feel free to use your screen names. So if you want to be recognized in the pool, you're welcome to do that as well.
Sure. You probably all can guess what my team name is going to be. It's going to be, my nickname is going to be Too Rough for You. Because I've been doing this a long, long time, and it has always been that, and for some reason I can't change. So let me give you another example. There was a tight end who many of you may not know what a tight end is. We'll get into that in future dog piles, but his name was Zach Ertz. So of course somebody had to create a team name that was called my ball Zach Ertz. So it's things like that. It's fun. Uh, be clever. You can change it if you just want to put a placeholder in tonight, or even leave it blank. And then think about it for the week. Picks aren't even due until a week from tomorrow, which is the first game of the year. And, think it through. I suggested one to Corey. I don't think she likes it.
I like it. I just don't like it because for this, I want to be Strikeadonia here. I want people to see me and not wonder who I am. But I do want to use this name. I think it's great.
Okay, good. So then each week you'll log in and you'll go to My Picks.
Oh, hang on. Let me share.
Let me go back.
Top red bar, third one over, you'll see My Picks.
My Picks right here. And then all you got to do, and you can do this on your phone too, so bookmark it. And don't forget there are Thursday night games. So what I encourage people to do is to say, hey Siri, set a reminder for Thursday morning to make my picks so you don't miss out on Thursday.
Or while you're here at Wednesday night, make sure to make your picks on Wednesday so you're good for the Thursday game.
You know what? During the wrap-up part of the show, it'd be a great time to make picks because you'll have just learned all sorts of new things that day. So all you got to do is go through and say, I think the Lions are going to win. I think the Browns are going to win. I think the Jaguars are going to win. And all you got to do is come down here and pick all the way down. And then there's a tiebreaker, which we don't really need it. We could put it in. There's no prizes, so we don't really need it. But the tiebreaker is it'll tell you what game. So the Bills at the Jets. You just have to put down the total points they'll score. So if you think the Bills will beat the Jets 20-15, then you'd put in 35. Okay, just total points you think they'll score. And the most important step of all is clicking Submit Picks. Now, I'm not going to do that right now because, well, actually, I'm going to. So, Corey, you'll want to go back and change your picks because I'm just going to go, oh my God, I picked the Raiders.
I was going to say, really? My first pick is choosing the Raiders over the Broncos?
Yeah,
My account has been hacked.
Clearly. So, my tiebreaker's in. I hit Submit Picks. And it thinks for a second. 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then it shows you all your picks. So you go, oh my God, I meant to pick the other team. And if you want to do that, you just go to Change Picks.
And if you don't want to do this right now, that's okay. Make sure, WednesdayNightLights.com is an up and running website that is dedicated to our podcast and everything that will be happening here on our Wednesday live show. Here it is right here. So you can go here at any time and find out more information that you need to about picks.
And then right down here is join the Wednesday Night Lights Pick'em League, and there's all the information we just talked about right there. It's got the league ID, everything.
That's it.
That's it.
So hopefully it's nice and easy for you guys.
Yeah. One last thing I'll point out is after the games are over, you can go back to standings, and you can see how you're doing. Oh, wow, we already got a bunch of people in here already.
Looks like we got a Zion, we got a Archangel, looks like we got a Drew and a Jamper. All right.
Love it.
How exciting, guys.
So as the games play, you'll see how many points. In this particular league, you get 1 point for a correct pick and 0 points for an incorrect pick. And you've got for the current week, and then you got the season. And then once the games start, you'll be able to see what everybody's picks are, but not until the game starts. So let's talk about cutoffs for 1 second. You have to make your Thursday pick, the Thursday night game pick, before the game starts. You don't have to pick all of them. I usually do, so I don't forget. But you only have to pick Thursday by Thursday night. Later in the season, there might be some Saturday games. You'll have to pick those games before they kick off. So if there's a Saturday morning game, you got to make that pick before Saturday morning. But if there's a Saturday afternoon, you can wait until Saturday afternoon. And then on Sunday, all of your picks have to be in by 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's the kickoff of the morning games. And the whole league will lock out at that point. You won't be able to change anything, including Monday night or Sunday afternoon games. At 10 a.m. Pacific, Sunday, the whole thing locks down and it's done. And when that time comes, you can go over to picks and you can see how your arch enemies have picked, and you can go, oh man, we're different on the Denver game. So man, go Denver. The other guys going, go the other guys, and then they're not invited back to chat. Okay. I'm kidding, of course. Let's see. I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm back. Let's see, what else do we have in here? Okay, we've talked about the pool. We talked about how it works, logging in. Have a thick skin. We might have some fun teasing, but not too much. We're pretty nice. But that's why I say having a team and making picks will make the stream more fun. All right, we talked about the tiebreaker. I showed you the standings, and then when we get to the playoffs at the end of the year, that'll be a different thing. And so we'll talk about that because that's like flying cars and away. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. A couple of things I want to say is I really want to call out officepoolstop.com. They were awesome. They have great customer service. I've used them for years, and they sponsored our league this year, and it's ad free, and the branding is free. So that was really cool of them to do that. I appreciate it. They don't do it for free. They do this for money making opportunities. So the fact they gave us a free league is pretty cool. And I hope that as we move along through the season, we'll have a lot more than the 10 folks or so we have in there now. We'll have
We
100
are
in there.
we are available. Our league is set up to allow 100 people in, correct?
It's actually unlimited.
Oh, wow. You guys could
I
have
know.
some real competition. I mean, I don't
Tell your friends. Tell
I
your
don't,
parents.
I don't know any
Tell your
famous
kids.
sportscasters, but they could be in here too. But like I said, it's completely free, so come and have a good time. And if you like football, this is the place for you. If you don't like football, then I'll see you on Thursday nights when we're not doing any more sports.
Okay.
But Wednesdays for the sports.
Wednesdays for the sports. All right. Looks like we have come to the end of section 1 there, Corey.
Congratulations!
So what? I probably should hold my notes up over here so I'm at least kind of looking at the camera. Looking down all the time. What's our next section called?
I believe we've reached the dog pile of
The
today's
dog pile.
podcast. So,
Yes.
for those of you who are here with us live, your experience will be slightly different. So, we renamed this category for a specific reason. This is it's kind of the heart of our content. So, everything that we're going to talk about, our subject, our topic matter for that week that will be prepared for you guys, will be available in the podcast form. You'll be able to find it on iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Spotify. Also, you can find it on Apple Music. So, if those are things, there will be links later on the website where you will be able to click and link to everywhere that this is being broadcasted. Please do forgive us. This is our first show. There will be things coming up.
What we call the preseason show. So
This is our preseason podcast.
that's right. So
It's a little
one thing
warm
before
up,
we
if you
get into
will.
the podcast is I wanted to explain the penalty flags.
All right, so throughout the live show, we'll have some extra things, right? So if you come and join our show, and you don't want to just, hear what we had to say, you can come play our games. Which the first thing that we're going to introduce is a penalty on the play.
Penalties. So in football, they have these little yellow penalties they throw on the.
Sure, you've seen it. You've seen the man who looks like he might be trying to arrest someone, blow a whistle, and throw a yellow flag in the air.
Throw a yellow flag. We'll do that when we're calling each other out or calling ourselves out. Could be a technical glitch. It could be a tongue-tied situation. Said the wrong thing, out of order, whatever. We'll penalize ourselves and really suffer on the penalties. Here's an example.
Oh, the suffering. Please stop.
Man,
if only it continues.
Clearly a penalty. Right.
Welcome in, Shamrock. We're glad to have you.
All right. So we are moving on to the dog pile. So we'll just have a little bit of a roundabout here. So the first topic I have today is an interesting day yesterday. Do you know what happened in the NFL yesterday, Corey?
Are you referring to Bloody Tuesday?
Bloody Tuesday. So it's kind of a sad day, really. I mean, here's all these guys that have played in Pee Wee and high school and college, and now it's time to go to the NFL. So at the beginning of training camp, the very beginning of the football season, you got all these guys, 90 or more, that are trying to make the team. Now, of course, there's some really, really good guys that are going to clearly make the team, but there's 90 guys trying to get 53 spots on each team. And on yesterday, which they call Bloody Tuesday, teams had to cut 37 of their players. So, you're there, man. You're on the practice field. You're dealing with the coach of your dreams, the quarterback you grew up idolizing, and you're trying to make the team. And you get called to the office, and they say, Andy, sorry, man. Could we have your playbook back, please? And off you go. 1,100 guys yesterday got that message.
That's pretty harsh.
That's harsh.
Man. But the good news is there's no rule that says you can't come back.
There's no rule that says they can't come back. So they all become basically free agents, which means there's some rules, but we'll get into that later, about coming back. So players get hurt, right? You're a good receiver. You just weren't good enough to make the team. Now you're a free agent, and some guy at some other team gets hurt, and they can pick you up and sign you to a contract, and you're back on. So it doesn't mean you're going to be jobless. It's just a tough day. I love football, and I hate Bloody Tuesday.
All right. It's a tough sport. I mean, it's crazy. In itself, there's only, how many teams are in the NFL?
32.
There's only 32 teams. So that means there's only 32 first-string quarterbacks, right? 32 of them. Like, you could name that. If you went to high school with them, you could name them all. However, you can't name every quarterback in the NFL. The first strings.
Uneven.
They're not all good. They're not all gems. So even of only these 32 amazing athletes that are first string, you're still not the top of the top. It's crazy.
Right. Well, like you were saying, 32 teams. There's 105 Division I college football teams. 105. And that's just Division I. You got Division II. Well, that's the old nomenclature, but close enough. Second tier teams, and there's a lot of guys. Like the 49ers had a quarterback, Trey Lance. He got traded recently, but he went to a tier 2 team, and he was the third pick in the draft. So you've got hundreds of schools which have much bigger rosters than NFL teams do, feeding into the NFL. So when you watch an NFL player, these guys, no matter what position they play, are the absolute best of the best, because they are 1 in 100 guys that wound up getting that spot. And it doesn't matter what spot on the field it is. You watch a college game and you go, wow, the quality of play in a college game is huge. I mean,
so different.
Incredibly entertaining and incredibly athletic. And maybe 1 out of 50 of those guys is going to wind up on an NFL team.
Maybe.
That's some serious talent. Okay. So there are a couple of things these not really fired.
It's a big day. Yesterday was a big day in the NFL.
Yeah. There's a couple of places they can go. Each team is allowed a practice squad. They can't be on the regular roster. They can't play in a given game, but they can work out with the team. It's called the practice squad, and you get to sign 16 of those guys back. They're pretty small contracts, but at least you get to hang out with the team, and if somebody gets hurt, you're going to get activated. They're going to go on injured reserve, and you're going to get their spot. And then the rest, like I said, are free agents. They're free to sign with any team they want. There's a lot of rules around the practice squad. We won't get into that now. So, Corey, another thing you wanted to talk about in the dog pile today was you wanted to talk about pools in general, which you kind of did before.
Well, I wanted to touch on it.
What makes them legal? What makes them illegal? What's the rules?
So the biggest thing that I want to talk about in this podcast to get started is that not only are we going to talk about maybe we'll educate you just a little bit on football. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but what we are going to do is we're going to tell you what the difference is between a legal and an illegal betting thing. Because when you talk about betting, the first thing everybody thinks is Vegas, right? If you talk about sports betting, you jump straight to the end. And then most people will think that if you're not in, Vegas or Atlantic City or wherever those big known for gambling places are, that it's probably illegal. And you're probably not wrong. You got to be really careful. There's a lot of things, and that's what we want to talk about, is what makes something legal and what makes it illegal, and why we are doing the type of pool we are, because of that you could still do the same thing as long as you take the money aspect out of it, for the most part, it's legal, right? As long as you're not gambling. That's where it gets tricky. Well,
there's kind of two cuts to that too, Corey. One is you're putting money into a pool, and you are saying, if I win this week, I get $1,000 or $60 or whatever the deal is. If the host of that pool returns all of the money that they collect, in other words, they don't take a cut,
nonprofit
in prize money, then that generally, in most states, will make the pool legal if they return all the money. It's when they run a pool for a profit is when it really starts to get dicey, and you're going to now be limited to like a handful of states where that's allowed. If you return all the money, then you're probably dealing with, I don't know, 30 or 40 states that will allow you to do that, to have an office pool where all the money's returned. And that helps. That helps make it legal. The pool I run, I return all the money, so it makes it legal. There's no profit.
So, if you're looking to start a pool, if this is just a private thing, this doesn't have to be an online, it doesn't have to be a pyramid scheme. If just you and your friends are looking for an exciting, fun, and legal way to go about things, then just make sure that the money's being returned, right? Whatever money we put into the pot is the money that goes back out to everybody. Not, oh, we did this at Dan's house, so, well, Dan gets 50% off the top. Like, no, fuck Dan. We're the players, we're getting the money.
Right.
So, start there. Don't take your money. If you're not interested in money, you're just interested in the game, remember there's lots of other ways to reward and give out prizes that aren't of monetary value.
Right.
So, when you're thinking about maybe starting something or joining somebody else, I mean, a lot of times, how often do you get ads for things that you're like, I want my credit card number, I don't know if this is legal. Feels kind of... Excuse me.
Flag on the play.
Oh, that came out of nowhere. Excuse me.
Flag on the play. Audio disruption.
I don't remember what I was saying now. Oh, gosh. So, I mean, I like sports. And so when I start looking at sports, I'm like, ooh, I like to bet sports. I like little parlays. I like side bets. I like things that are kind of irrelevant to the game, but are just things that are also going to happen. Or maybe it changes the odds a little bit to where I think that I can win in my favor. And those are all things that scare me when it's online. The second it goes online, I feel that it's just illegal. And that I should probably just not go near it.
Right.
Like, I don't know what scam this is, but not my money. Right. So a good place to start is knowing where that money is going to go. So that's your question. When you're looking at a site and you're thinking, maybe I do want to sign up for this, maybe I don't want to sign up, look into it. They have to tell you where the money is going and what the percent cut is.
Right.
So do a little bit of research. Find out.
Well, for instance, I know that in Nevada, you mentioned Vegas, which is curious. So, like DraftKings and MGM Bets, is that what it's called? Anyway, there's a number of online sports betting apps that allow you to bet on games and stuff. Basically, if they're legal in your state, you can do a pool in your state as long as you return all the money. That's a given, because they're allowing that type of sports betting in your state. It will get dicier if you're going to keep a portion of the profits. In other words, don't do that. Return all the money to your players.
Okay, so we've talked a bit about pools. Let's talk about the kind of pools you probably know about. This pick'em pool might be brand new to you. It was to me the first time I found a pick'em pool. I didn't know. I didn't go, hey, Dad, can you start a pick'em league? No. So we'll talk about the most popular. What is the when you think of football and you think of betting, where does your mind go?
Let's see where it goes. Let's see what this.
Fantasy football. Every time.
Football.
Fantasy football. It's always it's fantasy. Oh.
Fantasy football.
Fantasy football.
So let's talk about fantasy football.
It's fun. It's interactive, and if you know a lot about players, if you know a lot about players and you have a type of style of sports that follows players, not just teams, but where you follow players, whether you found them in college, you've been watching them for a while, but you're very knowledgeable, fantasy is the way to go. It's very fun and very interactive, and you better have a whole lot of time.
Right.
Because you're going to be reading.
There are lots of guides out there that can help you. You don't necessarily have to be an expert. It helps. But like for your draft and stuff like that, we'll talk a little bit about what the structure of a fantasy football league is. But there's magazines, there's online resources, there's other stuff that would say, draft this guy, don't draft that guy. But fantasy is an involved pool. Like you said, you gotta know the players, you gotta manage your roster each week. It's fun. There's no doubt, but you better devote some time to it because it's a lot of work. So this is what it is. You're going to build your own team, and you're going to build your own team from players around the NFL. So typically you would draft. So you and your friends are going to sit around. In fact, most fantasy football leagues are probably doing their draft this week. It's always after the final cuts are made. Not always, but generally after the cuts are made. And you sit around in a group and you randomly choose, or you have some mechanism by which you're going to decide what the order of the draft is. It could be the worst player from last year gets to draft first this year, and other ways of structuring it. But the basic way is you come up with some sort of order, and then you flip the order every round. So if I'm first in this round, I'm last in the next round. If I'm second this round, I'm second to last next round, etc. So what you're going to do is you're going to draft typically, there's variations, but typically you're going to draft 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 4 receivers, a couple of tight ends, a defense maybe, a special teams maybe, or a kicker, like a field goal kicker. And of those players, you'll take 1 of your 2 quarterbacks, 2 of your 4 running backs, 2 of your 4 receivers, 1 of your 2 kickers. You might have 2 defenses, 1 of your 2 defenses, and that'll be this week's roster. Okay, so you submit that to your league manager, whether that's handled on paper, Excel, or online. And then how well that player does in this week's games, you score points. So typically, if they score a touchdown, you get 6 points. If for every 10 yards of offense they gain, you score points. If there's, for defense, if you get an interception or a fumble recovery, safety, touchdown, interception, run back, what they call a pick six, you get points for that too. And then, so you're playing somebody else in your league. There's usually like 10, 12, 16 guys or gals in your league, and you're all taking turns drafting. And then you build your main roster, and then you make your team from that roster. Remember I was telling you how the NFL cuts their players down to 53 teams or players? Well, you're only playing 22 of them at any given time. So, you have a big roster and you play who you think is doing well. And so that's basically how it works. Well, there's some things you got to watch out for. Players get hurt. You don't want to start a guy that's not even playing this week, right? The NFL has what are called bye weeks. That's where a team gets the week off. They don't have to play a game. Every team gets one. It's already preset. We definitely don't want to start a quarterback who's on bye this week because he's not going to score very many points sitting on his couch at home. So that's another complication. So I got to tell you a little story about fantasy football from my original experience with fantasy football. And this will let you all know just how old I am. So the very first fantasy football league I got into, I'd never heard of it. But I found out in my office that somebody in the office was doing this thing called fantasy football. I had no idea what it was. And I heard about it and I thought it sounded fun. And so I said, I want in. Well, there weren't any teams available. Well, like later that week or the next week, one of the teams dropped out. So I went to the guy that's running the league and I said, hey, Billy dropped out, so I want in. And he goes, no, I'm going to give it to my other friend. And I went, screw you, I'm going to start my own. So I started my own fantasy football league, and I recruited a bunch of people on my side of the building. And we instantly got like 10 people together, had a draft, tons of fun. Well, back in those days, now you basically do it online or, so all the scoring is automatic and all of that stuff. Well, no, not 1982 when there was no internet. So the only way you could score your team is you had to go on Monday mornings. You had to go to the newspaper. I know if you don't know what that is, go to your local museum. Go to the newspaper, and in the back of the sports section, they would have these what are called the box scores. So in the box score would be all the stats for each player, and you'd go, oh, okay, Bill Johnson, he got 10 yards. Okay, he scored 1 touchdown, and you had to write it all out on paper. And then you had to swap your little thing with the guy you played that week so that he could score it and see if you did it right. Oh, hey, no, he only got 15 yards. And so that was a lot of fun. It's much easier now, but
Man.
still pretty involved.
Thank God for Google.
Thank God for the internet.
At least we don't have to do that anymore.
Okay, well, that was a lot of time on fantasy football, but...
That was a bit. So we also have some other types of pools. So maybe you've heard people talk about other pools and you don't know quite what they are. Let's talk about them, but we're going to do a little bit shorter version. Do you know what a play money pool is?
Are you asking me or are you asking your chat?
I'm going to...
Play money pool. What's it sound like?
Sounds like we're going to play money around here. No. What is a play money pool? Andrew?
Oh, okay. I'll go. That's too rough for you. I only responded too rough.
I'm sorry. Too rough for you.
Play money is a great way to make your pool legal. And that is your play money. So basically the way the pools work is you get $100 in fake money.
Monopoly cash everywhere.
Monopoly cash. And you just make bets that week on the games. And we're going to actually talk a little later in the dog pile about how you make bets on football games, which, oh my gosh, I burped. I should have gotten a yellow flag, but you don't have one.
I haven't made mine yet. I have a penalty for not having a penalty flag.
Oh, a penalty for not having a penalty flag.
All right. Penalties will be awarded with drinks.
So, you put $10 on the Cowboys, you put $25 on the Titans, and you put $50 on, you get $100, right? And so then based on how the games come out, you win money. And then that money basically, win or lose money, and then that carries through for the season. So you're just betting. It's a great way to practice betting.
That's kind of interesting. I like the idea of using fake money, everybody starting at the same amount, and then winning pools of fake money to see, because I mean, you could be at down and out, just bet it all, maybe on one and hit and get the right underdog and get a bunch of money back, and you're right back in the league.
Right. Especially if you've picked what's called an underdog, and everybody else has got the favorite, and the underdog wins, and that's a good way to get back into the game.
Yeah, nobody's ever expecting the Jets to win, so
you're not picking all the games. You're just picking the games you want to bet on. And you could put the whole $100 on one game if you want. And we're going to talk about what betting lines and money lines and all that, under-overs and all that here in just a minute. All right, what else you got on pools here?
A survivor pool. Who's ever played a survivor pool?
Survivor pool.
Have you?
I played it.
Survivor pools are fun. They're cool, but they're quick, depending on how you play. But in its essence, you survive as long as you make good picks. So every week you just pick one team to win.
One team.
Just one. And if your team wins, you move on to the next round.
You survive.
You can't pick the same team every week. In a true survivor pool, I don't think you're allowed to pick it more than once in the whole season.
Yeah. Well, until there's only one survivor. Typically, they end at some point during the season, and they'll start it over once there's just one person left. They win the prize money or the praise or whatever it is you're playing for, and then you start over.
Yeah, so survivor pools are quick. They're very easy because you're just picking one winner. The hard part is, the first time you go to pick a game, you think of your favorite team that you think always wins, and then, they're out because, by the way, it's week 1 and half the starters aren't in.
Yeah, I would have bet the mortgage last year the Broncos would beat the Seahawks, and I would have been out.
This podcast wouldn't need a blurry background. It would just be at your new house, which would be, outside. Because you bet your mortgage. That's scary.
So survivor pools are pretty easy. There is another one that's kind of similar to a survivor pool.
Was that the?
That was a slur, so I have to.
That's a penalty. So
Survivor pool. A margin pool, which is a little further down the list, but
it's okay.
very similar. You pick one game, same thing, but this is based on the point spread. So if you pick a team, and whatever they win by, actually has nothing to do with the line. Whatever they win by, if they win by a touchdown, you get 7 points. If they lose, you get 0, and that's it. I mean, all you're doing is you think you're betting on all the favorites, but not necessarily, because if an underdog winds up winning and you've picked them to win, and they win by 7, well, you're getting 7 points, and everybody else took the favorites getting 0. And if you don't know what an underdog and a favorite is, stick around for later in the dog pile.
Next kind of pool we're going to talk about is a pick 'em pool, which hopefully we've learned a little bit about tonight. And if you haven't, that's okay, because you're going to have the next 18 weeks to learn about it. And we encourage all the questions that you guys might have about a pick 'em pool now or throughout the show. Hi, Alice. Welcome in. This is my father, Papa Ruff. So a pick 'em pool is what we are doing here. This is a no money pick 'em pool. So all we're going to do is be picking the right answers. Hopefully, right? I mean, come on. There's only like 13 to 16 games. I mean, how many can we really get wrong? Turns out a lot.
Some weeks are really bad. Really bad. There'll be weeks where the winner has maybe, out of 16 games, maybe 9 right or less. There'll be other weeks when the winner has 14 right. And I'll go on record and say that nobody this year will get 16 games right in any given week.
Wow, it's
now,
big talk.
Bet, because in my state, I can't bet on stuff like that, because I live in a nanny state, and we can't have nice things.
That's pretty big talk there, Papa Ruff, because I've seen it happen.
You know, in the 16 years I did the confidence pool, one time. It happened one time. In fact, I have a funny story about that when we get down to confidence pool.
So moving on, we have next is our confidence pool, which is just like a pick'em pool, but we're gonna add just one thing. You're gonna pick all the teams that you think you're gonna win, but you're gonna rank them by your confidence on who you're most confident in to win that week. So if you pick Team A, insert any team in the NFL.
Denver.
Yeah. So we'll go with the Denver Broncos. They're going to win. They're going to win it all. I'm going to put them at 16. They're playing the Jets. We're going to win. You know? So you put them all the way at the top. Well, bad news. Sometimes they don't win, right? So, but the good news is when you do win, whatever rank you put them out, between 1 and 16 or 1 and 13, depending if you're in a bye week, you get that many points. So if you put the Broncos at 16 and they win, you get 16 points. And if you put them at 2 and they win, you get 2 points.
Right.
But if you don't win, you either will lose that many points. So if you had them in the 16th spot, that you'll lose 16 points, or depending on the league or whoever set up your pool, it'll be worth 0 points. So you just won't gain any points for a loss.
Right. Yeah. So you have to rank at 16, 15, 14, 13. So it starts like a pick'em pool, but then you got to do the extra step of ranking them in order of confidence. A little more involved, but adds a little twist of skill.
Yeah, so maybe your pick'em pool isn't as exciting, or maybe there's a little bit more that you've gotten comfortable with it and you're looking for a little more action. It's a great step up to have the same energy and flow of a pick'em pool, but with a little more, just a little extra to maybe balance out the players who are just real neck and neck, man. Like, they always pick the same. They're always the top. Well, let's rank them by their confidence, and let's see who's actually winning this week.
But don't lose your 16 pick, or you're getting 16 negative points.
It's big. I mean,
it happens.
You have to win every game in the bottom 8 just to break even. Bottom 4. Anyways, another type of pool we're going to talk about is a perfect 7.
Have you ever heard of a perfect 7 pool?
This is brand new. I've never heard of a perfect 7.
Okay, it's just like a survivor pool. But instead of picking one game, you pick 7. So typically the way it works is you and your friends can pick any of the 7 games you want. Doesn't, you don't all have to choose the same ones. You choose the 7 you think will win, and you throw in, say, $10 a week. And if nobody gets all 7 right, then that money rolls over to the next week, and you pick a new 7 games, and you keep going until somebody gets all 7 games, and they win the pot.
Ooh, that sounds kind of fun.
It would be kind of fun. It'd be very quick. You know, you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. You're just going to go in and say, here's my 7 winners.
Yeah.
And if all 7 win, you win the pot.
That's kind of fun. Maybe we'll do something with that later this year. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe we can figure out a little sub thing to do there. Or call out somebody who gets it, like 7. Because like I was telling you, when you look at the picks tab on our pool, if we see 7 green spaces in a row, which means you got 7 correct, we might call that out.
Ooh, I mean, that's a bit. I mean, you're going to call every game from Thursday to, like, Sunday afternoon.
7 in a row.
That's a lot. I mean,
7 in a row.
Those are, I mean, we're going parlays now. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is a 33 pool. Has any...
33?
I haven't. No. Any
guesses?
Well, I would assume it has something to do with being the 33rd team.
No. What else might be a 33?
Maybe players,
where do you
people.
usually see numbers in football games?
The score. So you have to pick. Maybe you have to pick 2 games that get to 33.
No, it's kind of like a survivor pool.
Okay.
You get 1 pick, and if your team that you chose, their final score is 33, then you win the pool.
What? I'm sorry. Say it again.
You pick a team.
Okay.
And if their final score that week is 33, then you.
That's it. Hang on. 33 though.
Unusual.
I mean, that's a strange score. So I mean, what are we talking about here? 33. So we got 3 touchdowns. We're at 28. Maybe a kick. Maybe we missed the extra point on one, and then we got a safety later.
4 touchdowns,
We had to get we had 4 touchdowns. We missed an extra kick, and then we got a field goal, and then we got a safety. Nailed that 33.
That's one way.
That's brutal. That's a hard score. 33, huh? Ooh.
Now you watch. You'll be watching games this season, and somebody is going to end with 33 points, and it happens more often than you would think. And you're going to go, oh my God, that's the 33 pool. Somebody just won a 33 pool.
I love it. I also believe in, rooting against teams. Last summer, I was watching my team, which is the Denver Broncos, play the Las Vegas Raiders. And a friend of mine was a Vegas fan, and we were watching the game. We were sitting there, and they went to go kick, and they blew the whistle, and I was like, ice him. And they blow the whistle, and I was like, miss. And then he just walks up and was like, miss it! And he just hard misses it from an extra point. And I was like, so I love cheering against teams that aren't my own. But isn't it rough? I have a hard time with it because at the end of the day, I mean, we're rooting for people to lose. I'm rooting for professional athletes out there giving it their all to just for that shortcoming to not succeed. I struggle with it a little bit, but at the end of the day, a fan is a fan, right? So someone's got to win and someone has to lose.
Well, that's just it, Corey, is that I have a lot of teams that I don't like. And anytime I'm watching it, I'll watch the game. For instance, my favorite team, obviously, is the Broncos. My second favorite team is whoever's playing the Raiders. So, but, I might root against a team, or I might root for a team I kind of like to win, but I would never root against a player. I would just never root against a player. I mean, these guys...
I have only one player in all of history that I've ever rooted against.
Tom Brady.
Brett Favre.
Favre, yeah. I know. He was... Okay. No comment. No comment. Okay,
and it wasn't that I was just done with him. I was ready for him to retire.
I know, and he just kept changing teams and beating us.
And I'm worried that that's where Aaron Rodgers is off to now. And Tom Brady refusing to give up the NFL even for his marriage, so he's now getting divorced just to stay in the NFL.
One more year. And it wasn't even a good year. I do have a favorite meme that I'd like to add in real quick. The year that the Patriots won the Super Bowl, Coors Light had a line that came out with the Patriots logo, and I'm like, it's good. Might be a little flat. Can you guess what year that was released? That was the Deflate Gate.
Deflate Gate.
Anybody you don't know, they got accused of letting some of the air out of the balls. Now, whether it really happened, I don't know, whatever. But the claim was they were underinflated footballs they were playing with, so he could grip the ball better, and so they got busted for it. So I guess it happened.
Well, there was also a zero drug use policy in the NFL, but I don't know if you guys watched Mahomes this last year, but that clearly is not enforced in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was a miracle.
I mean, could you even see, was there any white left to his eyes? I mean, that man was so drugged up on the, just out there. It was wild. It was crazy.
Playing along and winning the game.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Chicago Bears fan. You know, actually looking at the Chicago Bears fan here, it kind of goes back to the survivor pool that I was telling you about. So last year, the 49ers were going to play the Bears early in the season. It might have been the first game of the year. In fact, I think it was. And the Niners were heavily favored to win the game. So everybody in their survival pool picked the 49ers, and the Bears won and probably knocked out 85% of survivor pool. So it can be over in a week.
It could be. I mean, the survivor pools are so hit or miss. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen until game day. But isn't it when that first whistle blows, you start to see the game unfold, and you can get a quick view of what this game is going to be and who brought their A game and who didn't.
Right.
You're like,
right.
Man, that's not the pick I wish I would have taken about 2 hours ago. The last thing we're going to talk about is a type of pool called squares.
You know what squares are.
Squares is very simple. You just pick squares on a board. Right? You're talking about the grid? Yeah, and you just pick numbers, and then you fill in the scores later.
Yep. So it's a 10 by 10 grid because you're going to have two teams playing each other, and the last digit in their score, either at the end of each quarter, the half, the end of the game. It's like if it's Denver has a score of 17, so they're in 7. And then the Bears, well, I'll be nice to Chad and say the Bears are 27. So they have a 7 at the end. So wherever 7 and 7 come together, if you have that square, you win a quarter of the pot. Real popular for Super Bowl parties. That's typically wherever I see squares pools is at Super Bowl parties.
Squares are so easy. All you do is pick a tile and pay for your square, and then someone tells you when you win.
Right, basically. Because you have no idea what numbers you're going to get, because the whole squares have to be paid. So there's 100 squares, typically $2, $5, $10 if you want, per square, and then you just put your name in that square. Well, you don't even know what numbers you have yet, because once the squares are all sold out, then you randomly choose each of the numbers that are going to line up in the grid to see what you get. Now, if you get 2 and 5, you're screwed.
I was going to say, multiples of 3 would probably be ideal.
Typically 3, 4, 7, and 0 are the best to have, but it could be anything. It could be 33.
It could be 33. That's true. So those are the type of pools. There's lots of types of pools. There's so many. Those obviously aren't all of them, but those are kind of the big ones that you'll hear people say. They'll be talking about fantasy football. They'll be talking about survivors, and you might even hear someone say they're doing a 33 pool. And now you know what it is. You're like, oh, I've heard about that. Yeah.
33 pools. So while we were talking about these pools, we threw out a bunch of terms that relate to betting, right? So what were some of the terms we just kind of threw out there?
Well, we talked about under overs. We talked about lines.
Right.
We talked about odds.
Yep.
Um,
Parlays. You said the word
we talked
parlay
about
a little while ago.
parlays a little bit. We talked about
There's
favorites, underdogs.
right.
So
Right. What's all
my
that mean?
question is always, what is the line? Where does it
What is
start?
the line?
Who decides where the line starts?
Yeah, that's a good question. Who does decide?
Who
And I
who make
guarantee you, the
who
guy that
says
decides,
who is it? Is it three guys in a room? It's like, nah.
it's some guy with the fattest cigar you've ever seen because he makes a shit ton of money coming up with lines, and it is amazing how accurate the line is. So why is there a line?
So we can
What's,
cross
what's the
it.
purpose? What's the purpose?
I don't know.
Well, the purpose of a line is it's called a betting line. And the reason why it exists is because if you had a good team, say the Chiefs, were playing kind of a down team, let's say the Raiders. Um, sorry, Raiders fans are out there, but I'm going to cap on them all year long because you know what? When I first became a football fan, they were great and they beat us all the damn time. So I hated them. But it's okay to be a hater if you hate them because they were good. Anyway,
Ooh.
that's out of the way. So, um, if you were going to make, if I called up Corey and said, "Hey, I'll bet you the Chiefs beat the Raiders this weekend," she's going to go, "Get the hell out of here."
Like, oh yeah, yeah, I bet
That's
that
a
too.
terrible bet. Why would I take the shitty team and you get the best team? So the line then makes it a 50-50 bet. Okay, so you're going to see one of two things next to a team when you're looking at the line, and you're going to see it in the pick'em pool too, and I'll show you that in a sec. That we're doing. We're not picking against the line in the pool, by the way. It's just for reference, just so you know who's favored and who's an underdog. So the line is you might see next to a team that it says +4, or it might say -7, okay, or any number, but they'll either be a plus or a minus. And the easiest way to remember that is if the Chiefs were playing the Raiders, the line would probably be, if it was in Kansas City, it'd probably be around 8 or 9. Okay, so it'd be the Chiefs -9 and the Raiders +9. Okay, so how does that make the betting better? Well, because now that 9 points is I get to add that or subtract it from the final score. So if it's Chiefs +8 and they win by say 27-20, well, I got to subtract 8 points from the Chiefs score. Now they're at 19 and the Raiders beat them. Okay. So if it's a minus that's next to the team, that means they're favored to win. And if you're going to bet with them, you got to give up 7 points. So at the end of the day, or at the end of the game, you have to subtract 7 points from their final score to see if they still won. If it's +4, that means you get to add 4 points to their final score. So a plus means they're an underdog because they're going to have to give up some points. They get to add a few before they even kick off to start the game. So that's what a betting line does. Is it's some guy at some sports book, and there's a few of them. There's Caesars and MGM and some of the big casinos hire some guy who looks at games and says, "Oh, this is a 5 point line."
Does
So
that
you
mean
need
lines can be different depending on where you're placing your bets?
They can, but it's pretty small. It might be a half a point. So that's one thing I want to talk about is it won't always be a whole number. It might be 3.5. So you'll see somebody favored by 3.5 points. You're going, well, what the hell? There is no half point in football. Well, that's just to eliminate a tie.
Tie. Makes sense.
Okay.
So why
So
aren't all lines half points? Why are some whole points?
well, that's a great question, and I don't really know the answer to it. You'll have to ask the guy with the big fat cigar who makes tons of money and sets lines.
Guess we're going to
Well,
Vegas. Looking for a big
I
fat
think
man with a cigar.
I might have an answer for that because casinos always, sports books always take money, right? They're in it to make money. So if there's a tie, so if I've got the Chiefs favored by 8 over the Raiders and they win by 8, that's a tie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't win my bet.
So they keep all the money.
So they keep the money. Because I have to win by 8.
Interesting. So keep that in mind if you're going to do a little office pool.
Right.
Make sure you have a tiebreaker because you can't keep the money.
So if you have a plus sign next to your team, that means you are an underdog. You're not favored to win the game. And you're getting 3.5 points added to your score. So if you hear somebody say, who's the underdog? That's the person who's not favored to win. And then the flip of that is the favorite. Who's the favorite to win? They'll have a minus sign. So they'll have -7, meaning they got to subtract 7 points from their final score to see if you won the bet. So that means I'm either taking the points or I'm giving the points. I'm taking the points if I'm going to say I'm going to take the favorite, and I give points, or I'm wrong. I take points if they're the underdog, and I give points if they're the favorite. That also leads to a term you'll hear, it was an upset. You hear that term all the time. It was an upset, or I took an upset pick. An upset is when the underdog wins. That's all that means. It was an upset. The Vegas guys thought that Kansas City was going to win, and the Raiders somehow pulled it out of their ass and won the game, and they won the game, and so they were upset. Okay, so the next is
prop bets.
No.
Parlays?
No. It's kind of sticking with along the lines. It's the money line.
Oh.
The money line. What is the money line? Well, if you don't like giving or getting points, the money line is for you. So what that means is that, again, if I were to call up Corey and say, I'll take the Chiefs, she's going to tell me to go pound sand because I'm not taking the underdog on a straight up bet. So if you want to get what are odds on a team to win, the money line doesn't have any points. You don't have to subtract or add any points. It's just win or lose. But you'll see teams that are like -145 or +230. And you're like, wow, I get 230 points? No. It's all based on a $100 bet.
I was going to say, that means you have to bet X amount of dollars to win $100.
Correct. So if they are -145, that means you have to bet $145 to win 100. Okay? So if they're -145, again, the minus sign means they're a favorite. -145 means you have to put $145 down to win $100. Okay, now you can still bet $5, but it's just putting a little.
That's the ratio.
That's the ratio, exactly. If they're +210, that means that you only have to bet $100, and if they win, you get $210 back. Right? So there's no points involved. That helps, but that evens things out. So I'm going to take the underdog. It's not likely the Raiders are going to win, but gosh, they're -230 or +230. I bet $100. I get 230 back. That's over 2-to-1 odds. You know, that's a pretty good bet. I think I'll take that. Or, gosh, I got to put up $145 to win 100 measly bucks for Kansas City.
Well, the ones that kill me it'll be like 115. You have to wager $100 to maybe win 115.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of this for $15?
Yeah.
Just keep your money.
Well, if they're and then 115 is a pretty short odds, which means that they're pretty heavily, or it's a pretty even match. It's a pretty even match. The bigger the numbers, the more they differ from 100, the more mismatched the two teams are. I mean, I've seen
the better the odds. The worse the odds that it will happen, the better odds on your bet.
Right. So I've seen games that are -500 or more. So you'd have to bet.
You see it in fights. You see huge money lines in fights.
Huge money lines. So you could, if they're minus 500, you got to bet $500. You're risking $500 to win $100. And the flip of that, if you're going to take the underdog and it's plus 500, you only have to bet $100 to maybe win 500.
Sounds a lot better, but
Yeah,
it's less likely though, because it's, that's the betting part. That's when people tell you to start betting with your gut and trust your instincts and all that other bullshit people say when they don't know what to do.
exactly. If you don't want to bet on the line, which is subtracting and adding points from the final score, then go with the money line, and now you got odds on whether somebody's going to win or lose.
So that's a bit about betting. So I know that was a little
No, we
dull.
got one more topic.
Oh, sorry.
The under over.
The under. I thought we. Okay. Okay. Well,
Rushing.
under over is big. I did not mean to.
Wait a minute. I got a penalty flag.
Oh, balls. That means I have to drink.
Penalty flag going off script. Months of preparation. Months of preparation. Under over. You'll sometimes see, and you'll see it on our pool too. There'll be an O and a slash and a U. That's the under over, or the over under. I think you can say it either way. What that is the total score of the game, both teams added together. Do you want to, if it's a defensive battle, then you might see something like an under over 42. And you're going to bet either they'll score more than 42 or less than 42. And of course, if they score exactly 42, the casino's very happy.
Tough luck.
Won everybody.
They're so happy. They just got all your money.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see under overs that have a half point. So somebody will be favored by 3.5 points.
A half point seems like a safer bet.
Well, there's no ties.
Exactly. I mean, it's like when you're playing roulette, it's red versus black, but that's not totally true. Everyone likes to think that they're playing a 50-50 when you're writing the colors, but it's not true because there's a green square, right?
Right.
Because there has to be some way that the house always wins.
Right.
So when you're playing an even bet, be aware that nobody could win, but when you're playing a half bet, somebody will win.
Right. Everybody will win or lose. Now, some casinos, I think, will give you a push if it's a tie, and they'll just give you your money back. Others will give you back a portion of your money, like 95% or something.
Not to be quoted.
Okay. Just two little topics to go, and you already talked about one of them.
That's okay. We're actually going to take a 2-second break, and then we will be right back with you guys.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for bearing with us.
All I had to do was pop a beer, and I was fine.
That's true.
So that might be a penalty.
It's okay.
Penalty on me.
Penalty on Discord. That's okay. So we're kind of coming to the end of our little segment here about betting terms. We do have a couple of other things we want to talk about, though. The next thing we want to talk about are prop bets, which you guys have played Prop Hunt, so you know what a prop is.
Prop bets.
Proposition.
Bets. What it stands for. Proposition bets. Typically, you only get these during the Super Bowl, and they're kind of fun because you're betting on all sorts of goofy things. I saw a game in Reno years ago, and I went to the window and I made all these prop bets. It was the Super Bowl, and you can bet on things like who will win the coin toss, how long will the Star Spangled Banner be, who will be the MVP, will a play get overturned on replay, will a coach challenge a play, will the Chiefs pass for more than 150 yards in the first half. I mean, those are the propositions. And so it's not really a pool or anything. You just go to the window and there'll be this sheet that has all the proposition bets on it. And it'll say, the game I happened to see was when the Broncos won the Super Bowl and Von Miller was the MVP. And so typically the MVP, the most valuable player of the game, is going to be a quarterback. But I had a feeling, actually my wife had a feeling, that Von Miller was going to be the MVP. So when she chose Von Miller as MVP, she got odds on that. I think it was like 12-1 or something. So she put $10 on Von Miller to be MVP. And of course he was, and so she won $120 on her $10 bet.
Bet you wish she would have bet the mortgage on that one, huh?
Yeah, I know. When it comes to gambling, if hindsight was 20/20, no, hindsight would be like $50 million.
Oh my God, that'd be wild. That'd be crazy. It'd be kind of cool though.
So you probably won't run into those until you get to the Super Bowl.
The last thing are parlays. You guys have heard me talk about parlays before on this channel, or you've heard me use the term parlay before. Not talking about Pirates.
So, what is a parlay bet?
Parlay bets are where you're going to bet on all kinds of things at the same time.
Same time.
And it doesn't. You put it all on a single ticket, and then your odds change. Okay, I'm not the one to describe this, but I'll tell you what I know about a parlay. You pick a bunch of things that are gonna happen, whether it's winning fights, winning games, who's playing. And the cool thing about a parlay bet is you can mix all of your bets. So if you're watching UFC, you can put Nunes on a ticket. And if you're watching the hockey game, you can put hockey on your ticket. Whoever you like, you're like, this team's going to win hockey today and these people are going to win the fights. And the more things you have on a single parlay, it increases your odds. So your $10 bet could win all kinds of money. But in order to win a parlay bet, every item that you bet on your ticket, you must get right.
Right. One wrong pick and the whole parlay shot to death.
So if you get 14 out of 15 and you were this close to 40 grand, you're going to stay that far away from 40 grand because you didn't quite make it.
Right. So parlay bets typically are at least 3 things, right? And you can bet on the same team, the same game a couple of times. For instance, you might say, I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover, and cover means they're favored to win and they cover the point spread. So if they're -7 and they win by 8 or more, they covered the spread.
So they got more than 7 points in that game.
More than the betting line. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover, and I'm going to take the under/over. I'm going to go under, right? So the under/over, say, is 48 points. I'm going to take under. So I've bet 2 different things on the same game. I took a point spread and the under/over, and I got to add at least one more. So I'm going to take the Eagles to beat the Cowboys.
And that's when you'll hear people say things like, I've already covered the spread. They're not worried that the spread, like the game's already getting stacked in favor of someone else. Their points are further ahead, that they're not worried about the spread anymore. Now they're looking further into their parlay bet, trying to get something else to happen.
Right, and you're right, because the more things you add to your parlay ticket, the higher the odds you get paid out. And I've got a great example that happened last year. There was some guy, I don't know the circumstances, on DraftKings or MGM or whatever sports thing. He had a 19 play parlay, which would be just incredible. If he got all 19 on his $5 bet, I think it was $1 million. That's how long the odds were. He got to his 17th or 18th in a row. So he only had two to go to win $1 million. And the owner of the site, whether it was DraftKings or whoever it was, got a hold of him and said, all right, we're going to give you a choice. You can either play it out for the $1 million, or we'll give you 250,000 right now just to stop. We'll buy out your parlay.
Is that legal?
Well, the casino can do anything they want.
I guess. I mean,
well, it's up to him. He goes, I can either have 250,000 right now, or I can play out my parlay with one or two to go and try to go for the $1 million.
It would be so hard to walk away from 250,000 guaranteed, though. I mean, granted, that's relative, right? That's relative to your financial situation. So for me, I don't think I could spit out the words fast enough to take my bet and give me that money. Like, I'm going to college for the next 4 years paid, boys.
Yeah. So what do you think he did, and what do you think happened?
I think he cashed out, and I think that if he would have stayed with it, he would have lost.
He would have won.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, did he cash?
He cashed out. Yeah.
That's hard, man. I mean, yeah, that's $1 million, maybe, but that's guaranteed 250. And nothing biased, but the statistics of people who bet are typically, it's like a poverty thing, right? Like, poor people gamble. Like, there's been studies that the highest percent of people who gamble and put their money into it are lower income. So that would be really hard, because now you're looking at someone. I also feel like that's kind of taking advantage of someone. I mean, wouldn't you bet half? I mean, I'm at 18 out of 19 and only 1 out of 1 million. I'm only 1 from 1 million. And you're offering me a fourth? But it's guaranteed, but the numbers are so big that comma, those zeros, those will get you. You know?
You're going to look at those last two and go, okay,
what if you didn't get it? What if you didn't get it?
I know, now he's got nothing. I think I'd take the money.
I think I would too, but that's playing the safe bet, you know? And not everybody takes the safe bet, and sometimes you win big, and sometimes you lose big. And be careful, because you're going to lose big a lot more often than you win big. Granted, some do. Some do win big.
Well, what's the rule? Never bet.
Don't count your eggs before they hatch?
No, more than you can afford to lose.
That's why my bets are always under $7.50.
I know. God. And I would, if I'm on this, if I have to go to the Strip or get to go to Vegas, I don't just go to Vegas. I go there because it's a trade show or something. I hate gambling on the Strip because the stakes are so high. I'm like shaking putting a $25 chip out there going, Jesus Christ. All right, well, that takes us through the
betting.
Plan.
Does anybody have questions about betting? Has anybody ever heard a term here in chat that they didn't Google, but they kind of wish they knew and want to ask about? Because we're here and we'd love to listen and tell us what you're thinking, or comment down in the comments below and tell us what your questions were, and maybe hopefully we can get back to you and tell you what we're thinking, because you don't always have to ask Google. Sometimes you can ask us, right? All right, you guys, I've had a really great time. I hope you got a little insight on what to expect from Wednesday Night Lights. We're going to continue doing this for the next 18 weeks. We're going to be here live every week of the NFL. We will regroup and discuss what our future options look like at the end of the season on participation. Hopefully, will be a huge factor. I encourage everyone to come join, play for free. Come to WednesdayNightLights.com. Come find out if this is the fit for you. This is your time.
Yeah, and if you think you know somebody that would enjoy this, we hope to have them on. Like I said, we're going to be doing it for all season long. Corey and I get to spend a lot of fun time together. I'm really looking forward to it myself. Next week, we'll be Making sure everybody's now. Next week's show will be the night before the first game of the season, so it'll be your last chance to get into the pool. If you didn't, the pool ID and password is at the top of chat. It's also at WednesdayNightLights.com, and you'll have a lot more fun if you create a team, and you'll have even more fun if your team has a great nickname to it. So next week we'll recap the pool, make sure everybody's signed up, ready to go, knows how to make picks. The dog pile, we're going to talk a little bit about how the preseason went for teams and who's looking good. We're going to round up the quarterbacks for all the teams, and we're going to talk a little bit about basic game flow. So if you're not really sure how football works, and you're watching a game, you're at a watch party, whatever, and somebody's going, "Oh my God, it's 3rd and 10," or "Oh my God, call timeout, call timeout." Well, why are they yelling that? Why is that a big deal? We're going to talk a little bit about basic game flow. And then again, we'll open up chat and see if anybody has any questions. It'll be a fun show. Invite your friends. Any last words from you, Corey?
Yeah, I have a little game for us to close out tonight.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so, to referee, could you pull up the list of everybody who's already created an account for us on...
Do you want me to do that?
Please?
Okay, hold on. I just happen to have that fairly handy. Let me bring that over here.
All right, so we talked a bit about what a prop bet is, right? So today we talked about how we're gonna make some wild prop bets for this year as a little example, and we're gonna do this in the form of most likely out of these people. We're gonna do an open voting. Who do we think is most likely to win the season?
So we're choosing out of these early signups.
Only out of this initial early sign up, including Two Ref for You and I being teams here. Who do you guys think is most likely to win the season? And can you show us the list of who's here? You already got it? So your options are going to be Archangel, Drew. Ooh, who's the fourth one down?
The dog ate it?
Yeah, the dog ate it.
Do you recognize that name?
I don't.
He's in the other pool. Any clues?
No?
He's my best bud.
Oh, is that Jared?
No.
Is it Clyde? Oh, is that Fuzzy?
Clyde? Oh, that's Fuzzy.
Oh, Fuzzy. That's great. All right. So Zion, Strikeadonia, Two Ref for You, Shamrock, Jamper, Drew, and Ark are your options. I'm going to open up a live poll right now. Whoever wins this poll, which your first vote will be for free, your next one won't be, but if whoever wins this poll is going to be voted most likely to win the season. And we're going to come back to these on week 18 and see if anybody wins an award. Give me just 1 second as I set this up for us. Oops. 1 second.
Am I not streaming anymore?
You did leave. You're back. Let me see you.
Thank God.
You're fine. Create a new poll. This is going to be most.
That wins, right? So most correct picks for the whole year.
Well, most weekly wins.
Now, can you vote for yourself?
You absolutely can.
You can vote for yourself. All right. I wonder how many will vote for themselves.
All right. I need you to tell me the list one more time. I have Shamrock, 2 ref for you, Archangel. I have Jamper, Zion.
Coming.
We've got Drew. I'm gonna put Drew here. All right, we're gonna do this in 2. All right, start poll. This is between chat. This is between, without Papa Ruff and I. This is gonna be for the viewers who've joined. You're gonna go vote right now on who you think is gonna win. Go vote, go vote, go vote in chat right there. Yeah, go vote. Yeah, there's a little drop down menu. You should be able to vote. I think I'm voting for Zion. I think he's sneaky. I think Shamrock's got a lot of knowledge. And I think he'll make I think that Shamrock will be most dedicated to making his picks each week. But, man, Zion's sneaky with the sports. You gotta watch out. Go vote now. You can vote. Your first vote is free. Every vote after that is 10 cents.
Okay, how do I vote?
At the top right of chat, you should see a little drop-down arrow.
Oh, yes, I see it.
Poll has ended. Shamrock.
Wait, poll ended. I haven't even voted yet.
All right. We'll do it one more time.
Oh, Shamrock. Okay.
We only had a few votes. Why don't we try that one more time with a longer period?
I just went through all this detail, all this stuff, and not one person voted for me?
No, not yet, because I decided they're going to vote between you and I.
That's the next poll.
Yep.
Next week. Do I still get a chance?
1 second. Hang on 1 second. All right.
Now everybody's gonna know. Let me just glance through chat here. I want to see who was talking.
Shamrock. Drew. This one was Drew. Okay. How about we make it 5 minutes this time? Allow additional. Oh, you can't vote with points or with tips anymore. You can only do. I'll allow additional votes for 10,000 Poke coins each. All right, you got 5 minutes. Try again. Sorry.
Revoting. So now I'm not the only one voting. Okay, got it.
Now everybody's voting.
What was it that said they were going to make all 18 weeks?
That was Japper.
How do I actually record my vote? Just clicking the
little
thing?
circle and then hit vote.
Where does it say vote?
There should be a little purple button in the drop-down menu.
Right there. Got it. Okay. Oh man,
Art, did you vote?
Pressure.
And I don't expect any. Who will pick the most correct teams between Papa Ruff and I? Correct games. That'll be our next vote. And our last vote that we're going to do tonight is who will be the first team to miss their picks?
Ooh. Well, it's not going to be Jamper because apparently he's picked all the way through week 18.
That's true. That's a good job. Jamper is a safe bet to not miss any. Got this in the bag, he said. All right. Shamrock does have a lot of votes. Go vote, please, right now. It's completely free. Everything about Wednesday Night Lights is 100% free. Please enjoy the game. Enjoy yourself. And if you have questions or if you have any comments or anything that you'd like to talk about, I'm open. You can direct message me. We could talk about it. Maybe let's find something new and exciting. Who knows?
So why does the current poll still say who will win the most weeks?
Because that's the one we're on.
I thought that was the one that...
Yeah, it was only 1 minute, so I redid it. I let everyone do it again. When this one ends, we will have who will win the most weeks. out of the initial sign up. Whoever came to launch day. You guys are the foundation that is going to be creating Wednesday Night Lights. We really appreciate you, and we want to we want to show our appreciation of your support here. So thank you guys very much. And who knows, if you win, you might win something really cool. But you won't find out for another 18 weeks.
You never know. Got to keep making picks.
Yeah. So every Wednesday, when you get this Go Live notification that says hashtag WNL, hashtag Wednesday Night Lights, you can go to WednesdayNightLights.com, make your picks, and that's it. That's all you have to do that week.
And when Corey takes a 5-minute break to get a beer and pee, that'd be a great time to make picks too.
I would say right at the end of the call, once you've learned so much knowledge from us that you know all the things sports relevant, that you're ready for that week. Next week, we're going to talk about the starting line quarterbacks. So you're going to get your first look into the NFL teams here with us starting next week, which will be the Wednesday before the first game. You do not have to make picks this week. It is safe. But next Wednesday, you will have to make your picks.
The first NFL game is a week from tomorrow.
I think Shamrock has this in the bag. I think he's going to win it. Jumper got some votes. Archangel got some votes. Zion got some votes. Drew got some votes. But Shamrock's got the most votes. And you know what? I would say that's a fair bet. Because Shamrock, we know, likes to bet. And Shamrock knows a bit about football. So that's it. But it's not about knowledge.
That's not always the key to victory. Sometimes, remember I was telling you about that fantasy league I started back in the 80s? Well, I was in accounting, so it was mostly women. I had mostly women who knew nothing about football who joined my fantasy league. And you know how they picked their lineup?
Color.
Who had the cutest butt? And you know who kicked ass in all of the all the girls that picked the quarterback and the running backs with the cutest butts. So it had nothing to do with lines and favorites and everything else. It had everything to do with butts.
Yeah, I mean, that's like saying we like the Dallas Cowboys because we don't like their cheerleaders.
Yeah.
We know why you go there.
We know why you're a Cowboy fan.
And then
There'd be no other reason.
And then Tony Romo came and he really tipped the scales, huh? All right, Shamrock has been voted most likely to win the most weeks. Prop bet on Shamrock. All right, next will be, who do you think will pick the most correct games? You don't have to win the week. This will be between myself and 2Ref for you. Who do you think will pick the most correct games this entire season?
It's just between you and I.
Yep.
Okay. So basically, butts versus research.
Okay, that seems fair.
Because I know Corey, will be scrambling at 5:05 on a Thursday night to make her picks. And she'll go, oh, God, that guy's got a great butt. So this is basically your butts versus research.
Listen, Troy Tulowitzki is my favorite pitcher, and it has nothing to do with skill.
While you're doing that, I'll tell you a quick fun story. So several years ago, Corey was in a confidence pool. We've already talked about what that is, that I have run for many years. Okay, here we go. I can vote for myself?
You can go vote for yourself. You can even use points and vote for yourself more.
I don't have points.
You got to be a fan.
Why am I getting my butt kicked out here? Have you guys been listening to me? Come on, man. I need some love. Okay, how do I get points? Because I want to vote for myself again. There we go. Look at those bars change. See, I just got to, I don't know. I don't know if I can come back there. I don't know. This is not going the way I thought. But anyway, so Corey was in a confidence pool. She, it's expensive. This was a legal pool, mind you. Anyway, hadn't won anything the whole year. So we start over for the playoffs. And I go, Corey, are you going to play in the playoffs?
It's like my third year in a row. Okay. First of all, it's my third year in a row. I'm playing this pool. I'm going broke on it. Okay. Every year, his pitches, you only have to win 1 week to break even. And then it got 1 week. 1 week out of 18. Multiple years I heard this. I was over it. And then I was like, you know what? This is my favorite way to throw money away every year. Can't wait for preseason, just $100 straight out the window, right?
Right.
So I make it through another dreadful season. And my dad starts something new.
So I said, are you going to be in the playoff pool this year? And you go, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not wasting any more money. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll pay your fee to be in the pool. But if you win anything, you got to split it with me. And what happened?
I couldn't wait. That's a great deal. Sure, I get to play for free, and if I win, I still win something. I won first place.
First place.
First place.
And won all the money.
By a landslide, too. Like, we knew that I was going to win 3 weeks before the playoff was over because I had other crazy picks that just worked out really well.
Yep. And then, guess what?
I had to fork over
half of her winnings for a $20 buy-in. I think I made $75, and I didn't have to do anything.
I thought it was $150. No, it was $250, right? Because we split $125 each.
Yeah, it was probably more than that. Yeah, I think.
I remember. I just remember being so livid that I finally won. I finally got to win money, and I had to split it.
Yeah, and then she's trying to wheedle me. She's going, "Come on, I'm your daughter. Let me keep the money." And I'm like, no, you made a deal. This is a hard lesson. Well, apparently that hard lesson is going to cost me in the voting. They think you're going to beat me. All right, I'm just going to have to sharpen my pencil.
Taking notes, are we?
Sharpen my pencil and spend some more time on howtobeatcorysbutt.com.
Unlicensed.
Unlicensed. Yeah,
available
at GoDaddy.
Yeah, we must have found that at madeupfacts.com, so. All right, so it's looking like I am favored to make the most correct picks. Well, what a fun little antidote of how women have obscure reasons. Well, and you know what, that's a bit sexist. I would like to rewind that. It's not that women don't know anything about football. It's just that these selected women inside of a specific pool, those women were uninformed of the sport. They were playing for fun. That's it. That's the end of my statement.
After the next two shows, everybody's gonna be very informed. Because
everybody's gonna start somewhere, and it's okay because this is where you should start.
That's right, because boy, by week 3, you'll be at a watch party going, if you know nothing about football, you're gonna be going, oh my God, the tight end's covered. Oh my God, it's 3rd and 3. What's that mean? I don't know, but it's great. Well, I don't know.
Oh, you just got another vote. You're only one vote behind now. There can't be a tie. Talk about an under-over.
Bronco hat for one more vote. Oh, I'll put on my Bronco hat for one more vote.
What happened to your special dono hat? You're just gonna sell it off for a single vote now? Wow.
Got one more vote. There we go.
Oh, okay. Papa Ref brought his special hat for you.
3, 2, one more vote. Oh, I didn't get it.
Sorry.
Oh, look at that. Corey wins.
Right. Strikeadonia, huh?
God, and you know what the line was on that? It was 1.5.
Good thing I was minus
1.5, and she won by 1 vote, so technically I won.
That would be true.
Because we just learned what betting lines are. 1.5 dog and.
All right. Now, we're going to go back to the gentlemen that are signed up with us. And if you're not signed up, come sign up for free. This is a free thing. It's interactive, but it's low commitment. You know, that third separate thing.
You guys know, Corey, no matter what happens in this pool, it'll be fun. And you'll have a lot more fun if you're in it. Again, if you're late and you don't have the pool ID or what to do, just go to Wednesday Night Lights, plural.com. All the information is there. You can also scroll to the top of chat. Did you put the league URL in there too, or just the ID and stuff? Here, I'll put it in one more time. I just happen to have it right here. 56230. For anybody that was late, create your team, go to your profile, and change your nickname to a clever, fun, dirty, I don't care. It's for adults. Make a team name that's really fun.
Ark, Shamrock, Drew, Zion. Who am I missing? You can't put links in my chat. Only I can.
Well, you can copy it and just type it in, right?
No, it doesn't come through like that. But hang on 1 second.
In a betting war.
Okay, now you can.
Oh, what does that do?
You can now post links.
Oh.
Jamper, thank you, Jamper. I was like, who am I missing?
Me. You're missing me.
All right, 5 minutes on the clock. This is our last vote of the night. What you are betting on is who is going to be the first person. Thank you, Boywell. All right, what you're voting on is who will miss their first week of picks.
Yes.
This doesn't mean on the first week, but this is a reoccurring thing. You have to make your picks every week for the next 18 weeks. Who is going to be the first person? So there's also going to be an auto pick that will happen in the pool. If you don't pick somebody, it will autofill and it will choose.
I did not select the auto pick feature.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we could put that up to vote. Should there be auto picks?
So what happens if they don't pick? Are they just out that week?
Well, it depends on what we set up as the auto pick. It could be select all favorites, select all dogs, select all home teams. It all depends on what we configure the league as. So, I'm going to vote right away. No auto picks. If you don't pick, you're not playing.
I think that's fair.
Keep in mind, I mean, those that pick every week are going to be in the running for the season, but it's a weekly pool. I mean, if you miss a week, no big deal. Pick next week and see how you do, because we'll call out winners and losers every week.
Ooh, man, Archangel, you're really taking it. All right, I'm going to vote for Shamrock. And Shamrock, I think you know exactly why I'm voting for you.
This is anonymous, right? I don't want to offend.
You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings. I voted for myself all 5 times.
Oh, you know what that is? Flag on the play. So, just so everybody knows, with the last 5 minutes of the show, Corey was very clear. So, obviously, she's had her channel for many years. She's an experienced streamer. Me, I don't even. She goes, well, just use your, this key, and I'm like, what key is that? Or whatever you do on chat, if you have to cough or something, hit mute. So, all these tips and tricks. Well, she's violated all of them so far today. And the latest is, she goes, if you have to cough, just hit your mute button. Cough and then come back.
It's great advice, and I wish that someone would tell it to me so I would take it.
Hey, Corey, so you can select a mute button? No, it's okay.
Next time, don't send me a bracket 5 minutes after March Madness starts. Do you remember that bracket? Do you remember the bracket that we made that never got played?
Wow, and it was a perfect bracket.
It was.
64 and
We
a
would have.
$1
We would have
billion
sown
dollars.
millions. We'd all be millionaires. We'd be. This stream would be in Greece from Mykonos right now, from my private cot. But that's not the world I live in anymore, because my bracket didn't make it.
Now that I'm involved, you now get a full week and a day to make your picks. A full week and a day. So there'll be no last minute brackets. And you don't have to pick 64 games, you'll have to pick 16. So it should be very easy.
And the godless Texans won't be involved, so something that I love about making a March Madness bracket is that there's so many privately funded colleges that are religion based, and it's like Christian school versus someone else. And so at one point in our bracket, they started with the Christian school, so they became the godless Texans.
Oh, that's right. I remember doing that. We should add that to our pool types. Would be the Jesus bracket.
The Jesus bracket. Don't forget, God loves us for free while you're out paying for your education.
We're getting tips already. They're just giving it away. They're just giving away the tips. Here, the leader in the vote count is just giving it away. Just giving away the crown jewels. Watch for injuries. Make sure they're not on bye. Oh, by the way, if a team is on bye, there won't be 16 games that week. There'll only be 14 or 15, and they won't even believe there.
Archangel has been voted most likely to miss their picks first.
Oh. Well, there's incentive to log in. So again, hey Siri, remind me on Thursday morning to make my pick for the next 18 weeks. It works like a charm. So, get a load of this.
We hear it.
My phone just made whoops, it's blurred. My phone just made, I guess that's a penalty. Holding up a phone to a blurred screen. Penalty. Flag on the play. Holding up the phone to a blurred screen. Anyway, because I said that, it just went and made a
little reminder for you.
Well, I'm not going to be the one that misses a week.
Well, it seems like Ark might be. So, and we're going to come back to these.
Okay, well, we thank you for putting up with our somewhat choppy preseason special, but I think it went pretty well. What do you think, Corey?
I think it went great. I had a great time.
It was fun. I had a ball. I can't even tell you.
I hope you guys are excited for our season to come out, and I hope you guys are into sports and interested in learning and watching and playing the games with us.
Yeah. And the first show after the season begins should be really fun because we'll have all sorts of crazy stuff going on with the picks, and I love the content for the 13th. So really looking forward to that.
He knows the future, though.
Friends, I told Corey if I don't have 1,000 viewers by the end of the season, I haven't decided what she has to do. 1,000 sustained viewers.
That's his goal. Can we make his dreams reality, folks? We'll find out.
Make my dream a reality. This is my last chance to be famous with 1,000 people. Okay, 6 o'clock.
All right, guys, that's our time. Thank you so much for joining us. Find out more information on WednesdayNightLights.com. Watch our live streams on Twitch, Strikeadonia, and find our podcast available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Pandora. Also, find the VOD later on Thursdays on YouTube. Starting tomorrow, guys. Thank you.
Here's fans.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next week. Next Wednesday, 4 to 6.
Pacific time.